You know, for the longest time, I never completely understood The Office. Alright, before you guys attack me in the comments, just hear me out for a second because I'm not knocking the show in the slightest. It just always felt like there was an invisible wall between me and the ideas the show tries to portray, like maybe I won't understand the true gravity of a joke, or get the significance of a certain character archetype. Sure, I could still have a fun time watching this show, but it felt like a huge inside joke that I could just never get. The significance of the mockumentary style never truly dawned upon me until I came across a little show called Abbott Elementary. Abbott Elementary is a 2021 release that has completely taken over the TV sitcom scene, following the lives of several teachers who are navigating through their Herculean effort of providing for their students with next to nothing as support. It successfully humanizes this occupation that is consistently told to make the world out of practically nothing. It's a valid criticism on the public education system, bringing light to issues, but in a comedic yet impactful manner. And it's here where it all makes sense in a way that The Office never could for me. Because unlike the premise for The Office, I was that public school student on that receiving end of teachers going above and beyond when the system wasn't typically in our favor. The mockumentary style just becomes all that much more enlightening when you have the basis of true experiences to build from. It's such a simple concept yet so awakening when you are personally faced with your own reality through media, and you are forced to evaluate or reevaluate portions of your life you may have overlooked before. With such a broad topic as public education, it's safe to say many people are confronted with their own youth through this show, giving us a sitcom connected to on a deeper level by millions. But the path to national success wasn't straightforward in the slightest. Before it was accepting Golden Globes, Emmys, and being so big, people tried to claim ABC stole it from them. There was just a girl and her passion for comedy. Quinta was born and raised in West Philly with a teacher mother, giving her a ton of credibility when it comes to her later creation. But before giving her shot, she fostered her love of comedy through taking improv classes, a high school hobby that followed her into college where it became such an overwhelming part of her life. So overwhelming in fact that she just had to go after it, officially dropping out of her sophomore year to pursue it. Brought to start the pot a bit, originally through her comedic online videos that would capture the eyes of millions.
A large? You got money. He got money. Get it all for him.
She would then catch eyes of the internet media company BuzzFeed, further continuing her work on their multiple BuzzFeed branded YouTube channels. And this was prime BuzzFeed too. I'm talking bangers like The Only Bra Hack Men Will Ever Need and Women Try Manspreading for a Week. Like I said, only bangers. But Brunson would make her presence felt in an explosion of online eyes, with such efforts being put into projects over on BuzzFeed Violet, and even eventually selling a series to YouTube Red titled Broke, a one-season comedy that I personally first caught wind of her through, and one that I still adore even to this day. While seemingly being one of the most prominent faces of the BuzzFeed brand, Quinta just called it quits in 2018, leaving many fans distraught. She would later explain that while cherishing the time spent there, it was all a 9 to 5 at the end of the day, something that distracted her from her well-crafted gift of storytelling and her passion from the start in comedy. Brunson would go on to successfully book roles in projects such as Big Mouth, iZombie, and a Black Lady sketch show, the latter of which she actually quit as it had scheduling issues with her other works. With her own works, however, she would have her ups and downs, of course, dealing with cancellations and projects not being picked up, but the drive of Brunson couldn't be denied any longer, as her story Abbott Elementary would soon be picked up and reworked to be named Abbott Elementary. Quinta's story shows us the true results of consistency and always pushing for personal growth. The idea that sometimes you have to take that one step back if you ever want to make your move 3 or 4 steps forward. You just have to understand when an opportunity goes from helping to being a hindrance in your journey. The multiple years of experience not only spent reforming her comedy, but working heavily with social media has given Brunson a leg up on the rest of her competition, which has been a pretty vital ingredient to the show's high critical acclaim. That being that Quinta is very in tune with what the public reacts to, and if she doesn't know, she knows dang well how to find it. While television and movie culture has now accepted social media as a necessary tool, many still overlook its vital power, relegating it into its simplest form. Having years in experience in that online landscape, it would be quite ironic to say the least if Brunson were to have fallen into these same traps as well. For example, many other projects would try to weave in online debates into plot lines as an attempt to stay modern amongst its crowd. However, Brunson did her due diligence and found that her show actually gained mass appeal for staying away from the drama bait Twitter discussions and just focusing around the aspects of teaching like she originally sought after. Her past work with the highly critical and raw internet, combined with her forward-thinking mindset, can also explain how she was able to mold a dedicated culture and identity for her project at such an early stage. Now, Abbott Elementary is already a sea of very good material, but its true show-defining trait is simply the beauty that it contains within its very own cast. A conglomerate of very talented people whose character archetypes are perfect for bouncing off of each other at any moment's notice. While slightly exaggerated, as what sitcom isn't? They still give realistic portrayals of identities that would serve within an academic setting. In the core cast, we see Janine, the over-enthusiastic newcomer who, while having good intentions, her need for change can spur some less than expected results. Gregory is the solid and formal type whose need for structure gets tested in a world of education where quite literally anything can happen. Barbara is a moral-driven voice of experience in the show who, even after all her years of being active, still has to learn to adapt to modern societal norms. Melissa is the tough South Philly lady that also serves as a voice of experience, while also consistently promoting her ideals of never forgetting where she came from. Ava is the severely underqualified principal who's slowly evolving into the leader we all know she can be. Jacob is the quirky new guy who is constantly learning how to connect with others while still embracing his true self, when the distance between him and his students or even other co-workers couldn't be any wider. And Mr. Johnson, he'd just be chilling for real. Abbott Elementary is a very character-driven show, and I mean that in all the right ways as possible. Are you getting Better Call Saul levels of convolution each season to explain someone's ideals? Of course not. But you're replacing these actors into these very realistic and relatable school situations, and they slowly but surely reaffirm their identity and reveal their motives and idiosyncrasies as each new challenge passes. This is the process that most normal TV shows has to make with. However, this process is amplified to its fullest degree in this case due to the pure brilliance that exudes from these actors. They all portray charisma and comfortability with their characters as if they've been playing them for decades now, surely making the scriptwriters' lives a lot easier. And speaking of the writers, they have an extremely solid grasp of the characters they have made so very on, which has benefited them and allowed them to be more creative and flexible with their writing. Their understanding has given way to being able to turn certain lesser focused character flaws and criticisms into easily understood, non-forced, highly comedic lines, which further increases the personal connection the viewer has with these teachers. Now, I will admit, Abbott Elementary has had time on its side so far, with it only coming out in December of 2021 and currently being on its second season at the time of this recording, so it's likely not even close to showing some actual signs of aging. The episode structures don't feel stale or repetitive, long-term plots don't feel dragged out, even with the fact that some have been introduced in Season 1, Episode 1. Characters are still in that sweet spot of being familiar and well understood enough by the viewer, while also still having the potential to keep growing and evolving. And most importantly, flanderization is nowhere in sight, so these characters still feel like people, at least for now. The long-term effects to see things like if references and jokes are super dated will of course take time for us to actually find out, but I would like to think that this show hasn't even hit its prime yet. Remember, Abbott is prone to being ahead of the curve when it comes to structure. Like almost all the character archetypes developed by the show have been met with huge success right off the jump, along with almost an immediate natural feel for the mockumentary style, and the continual shown support towards the details to maintain continuity to its fullest. The fate and legacy of this show will not fully be explored until years and years have passed, but at least for now, we can say it's doing a pretty bang-up job. What started out as a flicker of passion has since blazed its way into the hearts of millions. However, the story of Abbott would have never happened if it wasn't for one dedicated woman who knew when it was time to move forward and when it was time to take a step back. If you guys made it this far, I would ask if you guys please like and subscribe to the channel. It only takes 2 seconds, but it would mean the world to me. Peace.